Well, it's interesting that you raised the personnel issue because I pointed this out yesterday. And this is a very interesting statistic from Sturla's organization, the Norwegian Shipowners Association. 8 out of 10 Norwegian shipping companies say they can't get enough qualified Norwegian personnel, okay? Why aren't we producing enough engineers, not only in Norway, but elsewhere? And how can we do this? We have a terrific, ocean talent camp where we're trying to encourage people down at the waterfront. I encourage you to go see it. But why isn't this happening? You're an exciting industry. Somehow, you're not connecting young people with your industry. What isn't happening? Christian, your perspective.
If I were to decide on my education as a young man today, I would become an engineer. And there is a fantastic, exciting career as an engineer. We have a number of initiatives. Last spring, spring of 2012, through my friend in DNV, who is Greek, partly with the sympathy for the situation in Greece, and partly because of our own need for engineers, we contacted the education ministry in Athens and offered to guarantee 80% of the best engineers from the university in Athens employment after their education. And I offered to take off time from and skip my last year's summer holiday to go to Greece together with the NV and see how we could double the number of engineers at the University of Athens, which now only educates 60 engineers. Well, the response was that the government was not prepared to spoil their summer vacation. So what can the politicians do? I think politicians can do a lot more. We are certainly there to work with the politicians and to work with the whole industry. And we do convert quite a few engineers from other industries who are fading and turning down, and we bring them over to our industry. They are often very motivated people, and they prove to be very good part of our staff.
So the solution is not to approach government officials during the summer holidays, and we'll have plenty of engineers. I see this. You had some thoughts on this, Remy, Michael, Ivar, and Andy, because this is a very important issue.
Yeah, I would mention two things. One thing is education, get more people attracted to the engineering studies. As one. The second is how we talk about the industry. Yeah. What examples we bring forward. Of course, we should bring forward the problematic things like the Arctic incidents and the Macondos and what have you, but we should also be much better in communicating the good stuff, the innovation, how we are moving the world forward.
Ivar?
I think that it's all about being an attractive industry. And I think it goes back a little bit to also what was commented a little bit earlier, and also with Helge Lund. It's the communication issue. It's the perception going north. And I think we're not then talking about Arctic. We're just talking about operating in northern areas in Norway. And sometimes I think that we forget the responsibility that the industry has taken over these last 10 years. And when you look at the fleet in Norway, in terms of the drilling rigs, in terms of the supply vessel, anchor handling vessels, and so forth, it is a completely new fleet operating up in the high north. So I think that we have not really been able to communicate the responsibility that has been taken by the various parties in this industry to prepare for this. It's actually there today.
Michael and then Andy.
Yeah, PwC, we're the largest graduate employer in the UK, and we have STEM graduates from the best schools. A part of it is the offer that people see, that they want a career, they want a balance between work, between life, and between remuneration and career opportunities. And to sell to a 21-year-old coming out of school, their whole psyche is different to what it may have been 10, 15 years ago. I think the oil and gas, and maybe the maritime sector as well, has got a great job and a great opportunity around local content, around upskilling, around really investing in the people of the future. And I think that we could spend a whole day on this, but there are plenty of good people out there, and I think the industry just isn't attractive enough. And why isn't it? I think the industry needs to look hard at itself and reach out a lot more.
Yeah.
Yeah. So firstly, picking up on Irina's point, yes, the resourcing is a big issue. There are more and more deep water rigs. We have to make sure all our people working on these are very competent to protect, obviously the environment. Shell, we're recruiting 1,000 graduates a year. We're taking 3,500 mature recruits from the environment. We find Northern Europe just not producing enough quality graduates in engineering, just not enough. So, we're going elsewhere in the world. We're going to India, we're going to China, we're going to other locations where engineering is much more of a deep-rooted core skill that people are proud to work on. And, the governments and the media are projecting what can be achieved through great engineering skills.
When we consider Greece has youth unemployment above 60%, Spain above 50%, 25% of the Eurozone, the recession continues. Wake up is the answer here. Yeah, Irene.
That was exactly my point. Why are we talking so much about nationality? Right. It's competence. There is, on a global basis, not too few engineers. We are just refusing to open up to take them in.
Of course,
and it's just I'm not quite buying the language argument that's being portrayed. This is the most global business in the world, possibly. Our assets are the most movable assets in the world. English is probably the language that we should be focusing on, not the local content or the local language wherever you may be operating.